Hello, welcome to another edition of Prove All Things. I want to thank everybody who's joining us today, whether you're watching us live on YouTube or Facebook. If you are, we look forward to your comments today, or if you're watching on Twitter or on the CGI Digital Network app, whether that's on your phone, tablet, or television, we thank you for joining us today. I want to say hello to co-host Mike James. How you doing, Mike?
Hey Jeff, doing okay. We're getting windy out here in San Bernardino County. The winds are picking up. They've knocked both of my trash cans over into the backyard, so I'm just leaving them on the ground now, so everything doesn't go flying. But we're getting those winds, those famous winds out here.
So you're getting the winds again. Was it last year you got the winds and they were so bad? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Not
that.
as bad this year, but today's a bad day for wind. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. I think did I mention to you last week we had some squirrels in our attic here?
Yeah. You were trying to you thought they were there and you were going to try to get them out, or what happened?
Yeah, well, we had the guy come today and he got up there and there's definitely squirrels up there. They've been up there for a while. So it's just they gotta seal off the whole house and do all kinds of sanitation and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, I mean, it's what happens when you own a house. So it's one of those things. You know, you don't want to hear about extra expenses, but when it happens, it happens, and gotta be happy that you're blessed to even have a house.
Yeah, exactly. I got a sink problem in the kitchen right now with the water flow. I tried to fix it myself, Jeff, and it's still not working right. The water's not coming out the way we want it to come out, so I think I'm going to have to go to the plumber here. So,
yep. All right. I wanted to actually, before we bring our guest on, I wanted to go and just to promote something real quick if I can share this screen. Hopefully, it will let me do this. Yep. Here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
All right, that's the CGI Digital Network app. I figured out a way to get it up here on the screen so I could show everybody some of the things that we have in the CGI Digital Network app. It'd be really weird go and watch it, live while we're in here, but we are live right now. Prove All Things. If you click on that in the app, you can watch us live inside of the app. And this is the tablet version of the app right there. But I just wanted to, we have the latest Mary and the Saints, Armor of God. Mike, that's a really good one that you did right there, and you wrote a pretty 2-part book that goes into all the details. So I encourage everybody to look at that, and we have some of the latest Prove All Things. We have additional resources from our friends at the Church of God Network, and you can look some of their podcasts that they have from the Church of God Network is now on here as well. So people can check those things out. Season 1 of The Chosen. We have our Bible studies, sermons. Quite a bit of resources. I just want to show a couple of things we have new. We have, if you go to the Bible, you'll see related material. If you're reading the Bible, that will show you like, hey, I'm reading Psalm 5, so I can click this right here, and here's a Bible study about that particular psalm that's in there as well. We have resources. A lot of people don't know about these resources, but these are good for church services. If you're doing things, if you need music, we have the hymnal. Corbin Rose, a friend of the show, put this together for us, and you can get all the songs right through here. There's a search feature, which I found real handy when I can't, when they say the number, I don't hear the numbers. So I just hear them start singing. You can just search some of the lyrics or whatever, and come up with that as well for the different songs, where you can actually listen to it.
Yeah, that's helped me out, Jeff, at church when we had some technical difficulties. Yeah.
So the music's in there. We have the Holy Day calendar. What I like about the Holy Day calendar is we have all the holy days coming up, and you can do this on your phone as well. You can actually add it to your calendar straight from the app. So it'll create an event in your calendar. That way you don't forget. A lot of people will go back to the calendar looking for it. Just use this to add it to your calendar for the different holy days. We have the Spanish language. So I get there's a lot of people in where I live here in Georgia. I'm sure as well where you're at that speak Spanish. We have Spanish language Bible studies. These are like a lot. I mean, there's like I don't know how many. There's a bunch, like over 50 or so of these Spanish language Bible studies that we have here, and then we have some sermons in Spanish that we're getting from our Spanish work as well. So again, there's local congregations. If you're looking for a church, is there. All these resources that are available. So I just wanted to share that this week with everybody. If you haven't downloaded it yet, I think the CGI Digital Network app will definitely be a helpful thing for you. And I got a new slogan for us. It's probably that original slogan, but I don't care. It's church in your pocket. So it's the CGI Digital Network app. That's a church in your pocket. And hopefully we can get more and more people to get that.
Speaking of church in your pocket, I'm trying to monitor the website right now for anything that comes up there. So in case anybody's on the website on your computer, I will try monitoring today.
All right. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I wanted us to kind of plug that a little bit. Just to show some of the new things we have in there, some of the features. Maybe we can go in more depth in a later show. But I don't want to take too much more time out of the program. I want to introduce our guest who's joined us before from sunny Florida. I guess it's sunny. I hope sunny Florida. How you doing, Robert?
Very good, thank you.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you to Jeff and Mike and this broadcast to Approve All Things. It's I hope what we can do today will bring forth something that's hasn't been talked about as much, and it's a pretty big issue these days. So thank you for allowing us to bring this forward. It can be a bit of a hot potato also. So thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. And Robert, right before you get into that, why don't you just give a brief intro again? Because I think you've been on once before, but some of the folks might not know you and a little bit about you.
Sure. So I've been with the Church of God in one form or another. Oh my goodness, I don't know, going back to about 1989 or so. So I guess that's what 30 something years. I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not so good at that, but it's a long time. And as we went along, I became much more and more involved in music in the church. And the last time I was on, that was that was the primary topic of discussion that we could bring in a little bit some of the modern music that's respectful and still is truthful and honest in its message to support the knowledge and wisdom that we have. So I've worked with Dr. Antian and Guardian Ministries and done that with their feast for, I don't know, many years, 15 years or so plus. So that's kind of the real fast background on me. So here we are today with a new subject.
Yes. Yeah, Guardian Ministries. Now, Mike was telling me that we're considering like maybe getting together with y'all for a feast site. Hopefully, if people are interested, is that what we're looking at, Mike?
Yeah, we're talking to Guardian Ministries. They have a Western feast site usually, and CGI has not had anything out west in a long time. So we're in talks right now, possibly in Utah or California. So if there is an interest out there amongst CGIers for a Western feast site, please fill out Jeff's survey. I think Jeff's going to put a survey out.
Yeah, it won't be for me specifically. It'll come from the church. So if you're looking for me, it probably won't be my name. It'll just be from general info at CGI. It will go out and ask everybody what their preferences are for a feast site.
Okay, very good.
All right, so I just want to, I guess, again, thank you again, Robert, for joining us. You had a very important topic. I think, something that's uh, very important to our nation and our country right now, and it has been for a while. If you could just, give us some background on what you're going to discuss today.
Yes, it really became a heavy thing on my heart. Kind of this past November when we had our elections. I know here in Florida we had the one side that was very critical of the other side. We're talking about a senator, and stating that this particular senator, he is really focused a lot on his views on abortion versus women's rights and things like that, and how he was against abortion despite any things, rape or incest or the other things that you hear about, and which actually was a flat out lie. That particular senator, while he said he'd prefer to not have those exceptions, he said he would support bills that made exceptions for rape and incest and the mother's health and things like that. And so all this confusion and lies back and forth has become such a political hot potato. And a lot of times in the church, I mean, we know for the most part, I believe I'll probably be preaching to the choir in a sense here today. But my hope is also that this can also go out and reach the rest of the world, because I don't believe that it's Christians that are backing abortion, and but you never heard about any other options. It was either far left or far right, take it one way or the other way, and that's it. And there was a third option that I was aware of because my sister is heavily involved, or was heavily involved, at a home that cared for unwed mothers, cared for them, gave them a place to live, and helped them along.
Oh, okay.
That there's really a third option that I think is missing. You don't hear politicians talk much about it. And
you know what? I know what you're saying, because again, the two options are you're either you're for abortion or you're against abortion, and if you're against abortion, they never provide an option. I guess options or things that can help somebody who's considering, who has a child and they need help. It's like, let's say, hey, you can't have an abortion, but don't worry about helping them, kind of thing, is what you're saying. I think that we see a lot of that.
Exactly. We've been, I'm hoping that preaching to the choir, to those probably primarily listening today are church members and believe a certain way, believe in going with what God says in his scriptures and the sanctity of life. And we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. But if we go and approach those who are non-believers or outside the church, let's face it, that's where that is. I mean, I just want to pose a few questions. Can we really expect, secular non-believing public to have the same value and morals of those who believe in a creator God and adhere to his standards? Maybe another way to look at it is think of it this way. Can we expect a child to have the same understanding as mature adults? And so what I'm trying to help also those in the church get is to try to not be so harsh, standing on the soapbox. I'm not saying that we change our own values. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that rather than coming across that way, that we are just Bible thumping people and it's this way or there's no other options. What I really want to hope we can bring it out is that there is a third option that still supports God's standards. It gives people a way out rather than just It's this or that.
Okay.
And I think that's what they're looking for. You think about someone who's gotten pregnant for whatever reason, and we'll talk about some of these things. They're in a difficult situation. And sometimes it can be too easy for us Christians to stand there and point fingers and tell them this and that and the other, rather than trying to put ourselves in their shoes without the understanding that we have, and approach them with love and grace. All right. I in our pre-discussions, I brought this up to you guys there, that if we follow the one that who we're supposed to follow, Jesus, Yeshua, when they brought that woman before him that was caught in adultery, did he just pull out the whip and just start laying into her? Or did he was it they're calm? We know what he did. He scribbled in the sand and this and that and the other. And when he looked up, was it of that? Did he just jump right into judgment on her? Or did he look around and say, whoever is without sin, pick up a stone, go ahead. And what happened? They all dispersed. So I think we see that that in Jesus, the way that he approached people, he did. None of us Christians who claim Christianity would be here without that grace and mercy and that kind of that still silent voice that reached into our hearts and talked to us. So I'm hoping we can kind of help people along with that. And some of the things we'll talk about will bring out some of these alternatives. I bring it up as a third option. What's the third option? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And even, another side of that, I couldn't help. When I did my message on this previously, I brought up something that even Albert Einstein, all right, so he was not a Christian, definitely, he was from the Jewish background or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, he wrote down a lot of his thoughts and everything. And in his essays and ideas, he titled it The World as I See It. He wrote this. He said, what is the meaning of human life? Or for that matter, of the life of any creature? To know an answer to this question means to be religious. You ask, does it make any sense then to pose this question? I answer, the man who regards his own life and that of his fellow creatures as meaningless is not merely unhappy, but hardly fit for life. So this is someone from, for the most part, a secular background. And if we think about that, people that are dig deep in, if you're without God, if you don't have that faith, hopefully this message will also reach people, afterwards or whatever, that, maybe you haven't come to that point yet. And maybe it's been suppressed. We can all think that we're happy, but I believe we're all kind of built with a hole in our being that is there to be filled by our Creator. But without pushing that on everyone, I do want to get into the main topic today, which is, what is that third option? Is that all there is? Is it either just take that path to eliminate the baby, or is there another option for that? You know what? Before I actually get too far into that, again, I don't want to be too harsh in that, because that's part of what I want to talk about, is being gentle with those people that we're dealing with. All right. And hopefully that may be someone that's going to watch this later. I will bring up one thought, and everyone, whether you're part of a believer or you're not a believer, we still have to be able to kind of open our minds, open our ears to facts and thoughts. I'm not going to dwell on stuff like this, but I've got some abortion statistics and things like that. I was just kind of looking at it, we need to think about how many abortions are there, and it can be kind of hard to track. I mean, there's 3 states that California, Maryland, New Hampshire do not even make public record of how many abortions they have. But there's another, some of you may have heard of it. It's called a Guttmacher Institute, and they also work with Centers of Disease Control to pull statistics from them. But basically, over a 20-year period here, just to give us some background and an idea what we're talking about, we've got. I'll just read a few of these numbers. All right, so 2020, that's where this goes. They release their facts every their statistics every 3 years. All right, 2020 they come up with 930,000. I'll just round off. 2017, 862,000 abortions.
Oh, wow.
2014, 926 abortions. 2011, 1,060,000 abortions.
Wow.
2008, 1,210,000 abortions, and so forth and so on. It kind of goes, it's over 1 million each year going back to the year 2000. Totaled all those together, we come up with 8,798,720,000 abortions. So over a 20-year period.
So 8 million lives lost in 20 years.
Nearly 9 million babies that don't have a voice.
Yeah.
And
I know you don't probably have the statistics. I just wonder if the Roe versus Wade decision will change that. I doubt it probably will. I doubt there's people, if they want an abortion, will just go somewhere where it's legal.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's obviously that went back to the states is where it went to. So you're going to have more liberal states are probably not. It probably won't have any effect. Other states, I know where I'm at here, it's basically been outlawed.
Right.
So what does that mean? Does that mean they're just going to run to another state?
Yeah.
If there's someone watching this that is in this kind of a situation, I would just ask you to pause and think about what we're saying here today. This third option. We call ourselves a civilized, all over the world. And we can stand here and say, well, I don't believe in those biblical things. But really, our laws in all civilized nations, what are they based on? They still have a basis in what we call the 10 Commandments, right? You shall not kill. You shall not rob. You shall not, they're still based. These are good biblical, even if you're not a Bible-believing Christian, there's a good moral basis for this. And I just, how did we come to a place in America where we've just dehumanized preborn babies, children? All these babies need is just time. They just need time, just be left alone in the womb to come out and be born. And I know there's going to be, we'll get into some of the other statistics and things about, some of the other reasons that some may feel. But again, if you're a Bible believing part of the choir that we're probably preaching to here today, I hope we can take a soft approach and an understanding approach. Try to put ourselves in that place. Understand this can be a confusing time, and maybe they may not even be considering this third option, which I guess I'll go ahead and tell you mention that. Go ahead. Yes.
So I was saying, what is the third option? What is this third option?
Okay. So that third option is adoption. All right. That
rhymes. The third option is adoption. I like that.
There you go. There are, so how many, how many couples are there out there? And we'll just say in couples, there are also singles and things that would like to adopt. And that figure, it's again, these statistics are terrible trying to nail down a statistic, but it's roughly around 2 million couples waiting to adopt a baby.
You
And
know, me and my wife, we're looking to adopt. We're still looking to adopt. We're fostering some children now, they're not infants, but they're a little bit older. But definitely, we were looking to adopt whatever age, and a lot of people who we talk to who adopt the really small infants is they have to go to Europe or China or South America to find a child to adopt because there's not that many available for those to adopt here.
yeah, it is a bit of there really is a backlog.
Yeah,
A friend of mine brought up a statistic that there's several 100,000 in adoption centers now that aren't being adopted. So what's going on? And if you look at who were in foster care and adoptions and things like that, a lot of those really are older children, 1 through 3 years of age. Those do get snatched up pretty quick. So as far as what we're talking about today and babies with mothers that for whatever reason do not want to deliver that baby, there are people there. It will get adopted fairly soon. There's unfortunately monies that go to abortion clinics, and there's a lot. I mean, again, I'm trying to stay fairly unpolitical with this, but if you just look at Planned Parenthood alone, they receive it's something like 47% of their funding is governmental grants. Well, it's like, if we could let love rule, if we could let life rule. I want to read something here. I know I'm going to stay biblical with this, but if
Hey,
we
Robert,
look at
Robert.
Yes.
Yeah, I want you to read that. I just want to offer to Lady Tex, forgiveness is part of Christianity. It's in the Lord's Prayer. And if you need to talk about something that's going on with you, feel free to send a note to me or Jeff. Our emails will be on at the end of the program. Go ahead, Robert. Thank you.
Yeah, well, actually, talking about comments, I like Bill Lucenthide Sr.'s comment here. The baby is not part of the mother's body. It is a unique DNA from day one. Thus, it has a person. It is a person who has rights to life. That's a good comment, Bill. Thank you for that. But I got to go back to Deuteronomy 30, verse 19, that says this: I have called the heavens and the earth as witness today against you, that I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Therefore choose life, that you may live, look at this, and your seed. Life. This is what our Creator is all about. He is about life. He's about love. He is about mercy. He's about grace. So if you're outside the church and you're hearing this now, I want you to know that our Creator cherishes life, that there is a special sanctity to human life. I've got other verses that I can read about that. Jeremiah 1:4. Now the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified you. Now he's got a specific person, obviously, here that he's talking about, but there's many other verses that support that same thought. Look at this was Matthew 10:29 that says, are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, sparrows, common birds, right? Sold for a penny. And not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will. But the very hairs on your head, now in my case, that's not a lot of hairs to count. Many of you have many more hairs than that. But the very hairs on your head are numbered. Do not fear, therefore. Are you not of more value than many sparrows? So our God is he's knowing, he's there. He's a loving God. And there is a special sanctity of life. In Genesis, he tells us, now I know I'm preaching to the choir, they know these verses. If you're not so familiar with it, let me tell you that you can go to Genesis in your Bible, look at the first chapter there, and you will see that our Creator formed us differently. He spoke other life into being. He spoke creation into being. He spoke, and these things happen. But when it came to humankind, he did something different. He got down, picked up earth from the ground, and it says that he formed us out of the ground. Okay? And then he did something very special. You don't show that he did with animals. It says that he breathed into us his own breath, the breath of life, and we became living creatures. It also will tell us that that we are formed in God's image with a special person to become his own personal children. I want you to consider that and think about that. Maybe if you're not a believer, well, what does all that have to do with me? I don't really believe in this God, but I want you to think about it. There is a God, there is a creator. All right. I've come to prove that. You can talk to Jeff, Mike, many of us here. We can bring some of this more out to you at another time. You can contact us later for that. But he tells us that we have a special person to become personal children of him. I want you to think about that. That baby that's growing, that just needs time to be born, to become part of the human race, has an opportunity to become a personal child of the creator of everything, God our Father. So I hope we can understand that. We can start to get into other statistics, but before I got into that, I just wanted to bring that up, that the importance, that's why God places a special sanctity on life. All right. He set us apart from all other life. It's very special. All of the common laws in all the lands, they have laws about do not murder, right?
Right.
Every civilized nation on earth, do not murder. Until it comes to the undefendable baby. It's like, I don't know.
Well, the opposite side, they always try to say that it's not about it's women's rights. That if you're against abortion, you're against women, and I don't see how that is. How,
No, not at all. It's not
children,
as Bill mentioned. As Bill mentioned, that's a separate being there. Okay,
yeah.
It's not that we're against mothers' rights. And right. I mean, if you want to talk about, because you hear a lot about, this, here in Florida, it was Senator Rubio, he's completely against abortion. Even if this other senator that was running against him ran an ad showing, some, I don't know, it was a 10, 14-year-old, something, a very young girl that had been maybe raped and she was pregnant, and, that he has no exception for that, which actually, and fact check on that would show that that's actually not true. While he said himself, he does not personally support other reasons like that, but he said he would sign any bill, that would give exceptions for rape, incest, the mother's health, and things like that. So, but the problem that was missing is this third option of adoption. And when I looked into it, I think you've got a slide there that's going to show a bunch of pictures of reasons for abortion. Jeff, if you can put that up there, I'm looking at it. It says women's abortion decisions
Right here?
rarely stem. Yeah. Women's abortion decisions rarely stem from rape or incest. So if we want to look at some facts on this, and some of these numbers, I know they can vary a little bit, but for the most part, look at this. 74% say that they're want an abortion because it's going to dramatically change their life. Please pause and think about this for a moment. What we're talking about. We're talking about a human life that just needs time to be introduced to the world. 75%, I was horrified by that. Can't afford a baby now, 73%. Well, the funds that we're putting to get rid of babies, can we funnel some of that money? And we've got another slide I'll show you later, but right now I want to stay on this one. There can be help for that. So these are the things that we need to let get out there, not just throw each other back and forth, far left, far right, this is it or it's not. Let's talk about some of the reality. Don't want to be a single mother or having relationship problems. And again, church, we need to just calm down a little bit, understand these feelings from these people. Don't just point your finger at them and tell them that, say bad things about them. We got to calm down. This is how they feel. How can we criticize feelings that this is what's going on in their lives? All right. They are having relationship problems, so they don't think they should have a baby. Okay, please consider the third option that we're going to talk about. Let's keep going on the chart here. Have completed my childbearing years. Okay, so obviously we know women, when you get past a certain point, you just can't do that. So if you have thought about it, and say, I just can't keep this baby, please consider the third option of adoption. You don't have to just go down and have this child, this human being, eliminated. Now we get to the big part. This is what those political ads I told you about. It was pretty much all about this. She was just attacking this senator here all over these last two statistics here. How much is a victim of rape? 1%. We're talking about 1% that gets so much of the attention. They're not going to make any exception for rape or incest. Well, there you go. 0.5% and 1%. And this gets 95% of the arguments going back and forth. All right. Most senators will go ahead and put that exception in there. And again, we're talking about the world, church. So we can't exactly always hold them up to those same statistics. But I just wanted to bring those facts out so we could see some of that and try to put it in perspective as to what these reasons are, and try to address them and try to help them.
Yeah,
we need to help.
Exactly. I'm all for what you're telling us there, Robert. One thing that came to mind as you were talking about rape there, I read a book, got it back here. It's called Far from the Tree by Andrew Solomon. And he looks at different disabilities that people have. And one of the chapters deals with women who were raped and the children that they had because of rape. And I'm talking about some of the wartime situations, like here in the United States, that 1%, I get that number. But when we go overseas, when we think of a situation like Rwanda in the mid-1990s, where there were mass rapes committed against one people against another. So thousands and thousands of babies were born because of this ethnic cleansing that was being done in this country, and the one group instilling their will on the other, raping the women in order to kind of control the population in a sense. But that's beside the fact. The point I wanted to make about the book was that this individual went and interviewed women who had had children after being raped. And there were some who definitely had an issue with that child. But in bringing up adoption, again, in a place like Rwanda, it's difficult. The economic instability there is different than the United States, where you can give your child up and they're going to be taken care of. But even those mothers who had children due to rape, most of them still had some type of feeling and connection to that child, even though it had come through these terrible means. Not all of them, but again, these are things we need to get people to understand, to be aware of, that when you make these choices in life, there can be ramifications not only for that child, but also for yourself. And the more we read, the more we understand about something, the better off I think we are. So I just wanted to offer that.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you, because you're going to talk about, I guess, adoption. So say a 14-year-old has a child they can't afford, or other people that was one of the things, they can't afford it, they don't want it. So can this adoptions help them afford the medical? Because I guess going to the doctor, all the expenses that come with having a baby are pretty high. I would think, those are a lot of expenses involved.
Yeah, they are. But there is help out there. So, I mean, there's places, let me see here. Don't know if I've got them all written down here. There's help out there. They can talk to Adoption Institute is one. So they can go to Adoption Institute, which I think is adoptioninstitute.com, if I remember correctly. Let me see if I can find that. It looks like it's ccainstitute.org and resources and things like that. But there's a lot of it out there. Really, to tell you the truth, you can just simply even Google Hope for Unwed Mothers. And I guess you could put up that other slide. That'll show quite a few different things. Got a slide there and this was just something I did in 10 minutes, looking around and seeing what help there could be.
We have a question from our website, which I can't put up there. They're asking if the stats you gave are worldwide stats or only the United States. I assume they're United States.
Yeah, for the most part, I start here because we need to solve our own problem here.
Yeah.
I can't really reach out, to the whole world or whatever. I mean, if we can get our own house in order, so to speak, here first, and then we could be in a position really where we can go out and help more on a worldwide basis.
Yeah.
So really the statistics I'm talking about are US statistics.
Yeah. And I guess the problem with abortion, with, I guess, the ones that can't afford it, or it's inconvenient. There's like a systematic, our systems are not in place to help women deliver children if they are a single mother, if they are young. There's not that financial support.
Yeah,
incentives to keep children, I don't think, is there?
Yeah, when that comes up, yes, there is a lot of legislation that needs to be done to help that. And so the hope is that with that overturn of Roe v. Wade, if some of the states, if we can, little bits at a time, if we can go out and help that. And if you're someone who has the time, if you're at a place in your life where you have a little bit of extra time, and you can go over and help some of these ones that are there to provide help for unwed mothers. The one my sister was involved with, if you have that adoption help slide there, Jeff, if you want to put that up there, it's got some things you'll see. The one that my sister was involved with here in Florida, it's called solvehomes.org. If you're at a place in your life where you can go out and donate some time, they need help. There's plenty of help that can be that is needed.
Robert, when you say help, what kind of things do you do at these places besides offering clothing and things of that nature? What, babysitting, or what do you mean? What kind of help?
Well, for the most part, speaking of Solve, for instance, it's for mostly for unwed mothers. They can go there and they're going to have a place to live. They're going to have people that will just provide help, psychological help in talking to them. They're not telling them that they have to keep this baby. Now, the hope is like Mike was talking about, and maybe some don't even want to go to that. Maybe some are afraid that if they carry the baby to full term, that they are going to get attached to it, and it's like there needs to be help. There needs to be legislation. Instead of legislating how we can end babies' lives, if we could put in legislation and put funds toward helping, streamline adoption to a certain point. Some of it can be difficult to go through all the waiting process and all the forms you got to fill out, and how much money do you have to adopt them, and all of these types of things. We any help that we can do, so if we can support those who say they want to go to public office and help bring legislation about to provide financial help, help with just in therapy and discussion, and maybe if they do become attached to that life they feel growing in them and they want to keep that, to give them some support to go out and get their life started in that way. It's just
I would say personally, me and my wife looking into adoption, the process is so convoluted and complicated that can really just like say, people just like, I don't want to go through all this, or this is too hard. It's too much money. There's too much involved with it. And it should be as easy. If you ever go buy a new car, usually when I go buy a new car, the guy who's like selling me the car, he's there, he fills everything out, he does all the paperwork, he does it all for you because he wants you to get in that new car. I think if we want to keep the children, adoption, it should be that kind of process where somebody's working for the parents to get this, make this happen and get rid of all that red tape, because that's part of the system problem that we have. That abortion, that for people who keeps the children, that adoption is just too difficult.
Yeah. And really, so help is needed. Help is needed financially. If you don't have financial ability to help, we all should probably think back. Those in the church here are going to know this. I won't read all of this scripture, but I do have Matthew 25. And, for anyone that's not familiar with it, if you find a Bible, look to Matthew, look up to chapter 25, and then you could look at verses 34 through 46, which talks about, I'll just read the kind of a last portion of it here. In verse 41, it says, "Then he," speaking of Jesus, "he will also say to those on his left, 'Depart from me, you accursed people, into eternal fire, which has been prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I was naked, you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not come to visit me.' And then they answered him, and they said," they will also answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and thirsty and stranger, naked, sick, in prison, and we did not take care of you?" And he answers them, "Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did not do it for one of the least of these, you did not do it for me either." And I I don't have a lot of extra time. I don't have
Yeah.
time myself. I'm not at a point in my life where I have time myself that I can go to one of these care centers and things and give my time there, but if someone is at that point that they can do that. I don't want to, I'm just trying to do what I can do, hopefully maybe educate people a little bit, but I don't want to stand before my judge and say, I couldn't help other people. I couldn't help feed them, or I couldn't help someone that's in need. So mothers that are at that point in their life, they're at a very difficult point. And that's why I tell us to try to be caring, try to be understanding, not judgmental, not stand on a soapbox, but try to offer them support and help however we're able to do. If we need to go sit down with them and go on Google and start researching and asking some of these questions and help point them to places in their area, it didn't take very much for me to Google this and come up with those things I put on that screen.
Yeah.
Help is out there. You got to look for it. But the other part for us is to, now, I don't know, this might be controversial to bring up. I know there's always been a part in the church that said, well, we shouldn't be involved in politics of the land and things like that. And wherever you stand on that, I don't know. I'm not trying to tell people to go against whatever they may believe, but I just don't see how I could say I'm just going to stand by and see these nearly 9 million babies, over that 20-year period aborted. That if I can listen, many of us live in places where there's an HOA, right? So we go and, they come through and they ask you to vote on things for your homeowners association. Many of us will do that. It's
Yeah.
like, well, wait a minute. So we'll do that, but we won't go and just try to have a say in how our areas are being governed. And so, I mean, that's one way we can also try to help. Again, I don't know what.
Yeah. I got you completely, Robert. And
Yeah.
one other thing, I think the least we can do is just when we are among family, friends, relatives, in conversations where this issue comes up, we need to express our belief about it. We need to talk
Yeah.
about what you're talking about today, because we've got young people in all of our families. They're going to grow up, become teenagers, young adults. And I think just exposing them to this other information other than what maybe society is pushing out there, that's the least we can do, and we should be doing that. No matter what we do, we should do something. There's always hope, and just getting that information out there and continuing a conversation, I think is the least we can do.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think another thing we can do, I think, in the church, and I guess we'll probably never. I mean, the kingdom of God is going to solve this problem, and again, things will be dealt with by God. Will deal with this, and we'll fix this in the kingdom of God. But what we can do, when I was in Tyler, Texas, I went and all the churches in Tyler, Texas, got together one week, like one for like a couple of days, and I went to one of the meetings where all the different, and I'm not just saying Church of God, I'm saying just any church, whatever they believe, Sunday, if you're in church, we got together and we had a meeting, and a person got up and he made a really thing that impacted me, is that it only takes one church, one church per child. So maybe everybody at church can't adopt children, but if only every church could support one child or support one family who adopts a child, if we could have that, if we could be, like let's say people say be the church, if we could say, hey, children are number one, right? We if children need help, we the church should be the ones helping children, because that's what we do. That's what God wants us to do. And I think that's a way that we can, do our small part is to help, either if we can't do it ourselves, support those who can do that in the church.
Yeah, and we talked about the cost. Now, the cost to I want to get back to the cost to the mother, the one carrying the child, for to put up for adoption. Um, there, it costs them nothing. It does not cost them money to put their child up for adoption. That would be silly. You can give birth to a child and take it to a fire station, leave it on the
Yeah,
steps. But you can visit AmericanAdoptions.com,
yeah.
and you'll see a lot of things in there that can help you. There's studies in
The
there from
the
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 Center
parents who will
for Disease
adopt it will
Control.
pay for all that. The
Yeah,
parents who will adopt the child will pay for all those expenses. I
right.
mean, I think they're more than willing because there's so many people out there who can adopt, who can't have children, and they'll adopt and they'll do whatever they can to adopt. So I think the needs there. I think it's just that uh, it's not, again, they're not talking about it in politics. They're not talking about who's the last person we heard talk about adoption in politics.
You hit the nail right on the head there. That's what got me started in this whole thing. I just said there's a big void here. They're talking about two things. You can either do this or you can do this. And no one brought up the adoption in the middle. And
Yeah.
it's obviously I'm not a lady. I haven't gone through this. Now I will make a confession right here in front of God and all of the world. When I was a young man, before I was called, I was with a girl. We lived the whatever lifestyle you want to call. Many people know my background. I used to be in rock and roll up there on stage with the big long hair and the lead singer in the band. And I'm not proud of what happens in my past, but there was a point where this did happen between me and a young girl, and she went and you know eliminated the baby. And so I do have that. Fortunately, again, God of grace understands that, and I'm completely free from that now. I do still carry, carry a hurt about that, and we have scars on our being that we can carry all our lives. That is a scar that I do have, but um, I don't know if that's maybe part in my subconscious is trying to help drive me toward this, but we just, again, not judgmental. We cannot be judgmental until if you've been in that situation, if you've been a teenager, a young adult, anything, and you've had this happen. We don't need to just step up on the soapbox and start pointing fingers, but we need to embrace. We need to offer a soft shoulder. We need to do what we can out of love and compassion. We just can't go at this in a harsh way, because we're not going to do any good with that. We need to our best witness. We can witness many ways, but I feel our first and best witness that we can do personally is to try to just live the life that is full of grace that we received. Okay. And mercy, and be soft, be slow tongued. Okay. We don't just need to come out and just start barking at people and make them feel so low that they're not going to hear another thing that we have to say.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if there's anyone here that hears this message after this, and you're not part of, the church or whatever, I just want you to try to just contact me. I will try to help you all that I can. I can put you in touch with people. There is help
So
out there, and I'll
what is your contact, Robert? I'll make sure I put it on the screen for everyone if I can.
sure. It's fairly easy. It's Robert at the number 2, the words the way .org. It probably works for org or .com. Or you can contact me through, my website, which is totheway.org. just like you see it on the screen there, totheway.org.
Okay.
Hey, Robert. Yeah, I
just
just
contact
want to commend you for being vulnerable as you were today on the program and opening up about your past, because I believe that when we do that, we create a space for other people to then get involved with us who are going through similar things. It's very difficult for people who are experiencing these types of things to trust someone or to be able to go to someone they don't know very well. That's why I was emphasizing this is such a personal matter that within our families, we need to be talking to everybody and getting that out there, because you've got those relationships already established. But it takes people like you to open up and then create a link for others who may be out there listening today, or people who are listening can talk to someone they know and say, hey, Robert has some type of experience. You can trust this guy. He's been there. And that sometimes makes all the difference. So thanks for opening up about that. It's very important for all of us to do that with the various things that we've experienced in order to connect with others out there.
Yeah. It's we just, if we're going to err in any fashion, we should err on the side of love and compassion and forgiveness, not being judgmental and pointing fingers. And it's just not that's not how our Savior is. He tells us to come with open arms, come with everything that you may have in your past. Really, if you want to get truthful about it, every one of us has things in our past that we're probably not proud of, but we were called by Father, and we were embraced by our Savior and said, come, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. I've got, love and compassion and forgiveness. As a matter of fact, that love and that compassion is so great that I allowed them, that he was nailed. He allowed himself to be nailed, beaten, pierced for us. He didn't do that for necessarily just for you Christians. He didn't do that for us Bible thumping Christians. He did that for us who have hurt. We have scars. We have problems. And he did that for every one of us. So we don't have any right, none of us have any right to stand there and point fingers at you if you're someone who's in that position to say, oh, how did this happen to you? Well, you shouldn't have been doing this and you shouldn't have been doing that. Listen, just stop all that and say, I'm glad you talked to me about it. Let's talk. How can I help you? And take that approach, because that's where people that are in that situation, they need that help and love. And if anyone's watching that's not part of a church or whatever already, I want you to know that there are people there you can get help from, talk to, and they will express that. And if you can't find them, give me a call and I'll try. I can probably put you in touch with some. I'm sure Mike and Jeff also know people all around the country that would be happy to talk to you and give you that soft shoulder and not just point fingers at you, because we've all fallen short of the glory of our Creator. So
before we go, I want to your what you're talking about remind me of it's a short film that my brother who lives in Florida, also he lives in made about this very subject. So I'm just going to show you just a little where people can find it. It's called Trapped. It's a short film on teen unplanned pregnancy, and in the film, it just shows those shows what a girl's going through and some of the choices she has to make, and talking to her parents and dealing with the problems and such. And then it goes to you can adopt or you can keep the child. You can do these things. So I think it's a good resource if anybody wants to watch this or share this short film. Again, I'm plugging it because my brother made it. It's got like 9 million views so far. I think it's a good resource to share.
Oh,
with
wow,
folks.
that's excellent. Wow,
Yeah.
thank you for that, Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
Jeff, how do they view this? They just put in Trapped. I mean, how do
yeah.
you get it?
Look, you just type in Trapped and
And YouTube? It
abortion.
looks like
Yeah,
it's YouTube?
yeah. Go to YouTube, type in Trapped abortion. That's what I searched for, and this is what came up because it's got 9 million views. So it's going to be one of the top videos that's going to play on there. But he made that several years ago for I think it was like a place that helps teens with unplanned pregnancies there in Central Florida where he lives, and this video little short film was produced for that subject. So again, recommend everybody
Excellent.
possibly check that out because it does deal with the subject, and it's something you can do. You can share it on your Facebook, share it with other people, share it with some young teens that they can kind of understand the options that are out there.
Right.
All right. So do you have anything else you want to leave us with, Robert, before we end today?
I would just say for us, those believers in the church, to whatever help. If you're at a point in your life that you have time that you can offer, reach out. There's probably some within a short distance of wherever you live that you could go and if you have time, maybe you can go once or twice a week or whatever it is, and cook food for them or whatever it is. Talk to them, to offer that support. If you're at that point in your life, here's something we can all do. We can all pray. According to Ephesians 6:12, we're in a spiritual battle, all right? We are not battling so much against people, but we're battling against the evil one, and the target. A terrible place, but yet there's a target on preborn babies and their mothers, giving them that guilt thing that, so pray about it, pray. And then educate ourselves. Just, we want to try to look into some of the statistics so that when we do talk to people, we can have a somewhat educated view on it and talk about them. If they bring up something we don't know about, write it down and look at it. But we should educate ourselves, pray, and then just offer whatever support and help that we can, and be a living example yourself of God's grace and His mercy, so that we don't come across as harsh Bible thumpers with pointed fingers out. Remember, when you point that finger out this way, you got 3 of them here pointing back at you, right? So
yeah,
just be gentle and kind and compassionate.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Robert, for joining us. I think this is definitely something we need to discuss in God's church, and to think about what's ways that we can help. If we're against abortion, and I'm against it, I know, I'm for, or you're for life, right? If you're for life, what can we do personally to say, hey, we're doing something to help people who are for life, who want to stop these children from being murdered, is what's happening. That what can we do? And those are things that we can do. So thank you, Robert, for letting us.
That's right. I set before you life and death. So choose life.
Choose life, and that's a good way to end it.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody next week on another edition of Prove All Things. Goodbye, everyone.